around some. All
right. Commissioner Arner, if you lead us in the prayer and the pledge.
Father, bless the land you have given me. As I tend to each crop and critter, you're the one that helps them grow. Steer the rain clouds in the right direction and amount, for some have too much and some have too little. Give the farmer strength, grit, and keep them from harm's way. If you ate today, thank a farmer. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of preparing accurate written minutes. Recordings are overwritten following approval of the minutes, eliminating all unofficial records of these proceedings. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting held February 15, 2024.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes. Are there any guests here concerning county business?
Yes, hi, I'm Aki Susko. I'm here from, I live in Jim Thorpe. May I proceed?
Yes, you may.
So yeah, the reason I'm here today, I'm following up an email that I sent on January 16th with regard to the Anastasia Susko Memorial Fund. I'm looking to develop a event that's 100% nonprofit to this fund that is given to a high school girl leaving Jim Thorpe. And the event, so let me get my notes because I only have 1 million things going on, is in September. I think it's the 16th. Of course, I have details of it. And I'm looking for use. I have approval from the borough of Jim Thorpe. I have the state park on board with all the necessary requirements there. I'm looking for use of the parking lot as the start and finish line. It's a Saturday morning from 7. We should be well wrapped up by 10 a.m. And we're looking for use of the parking lot all the way the far end under the bridge. I understand on Saturday morning, we want to prepare for the tourists that come, but I don't think it's going to be in the way because like I said, it should be well finished by 10. And we just want to use that area for both parking for the people who are going to come and then also some areas so that they can start and finish.
What was the date again?
So let me get my notes. I'm sorry about that.
September 16th, I think.
Saturday, September 14th. Yep. Yeah, I'm here to answer any questions and just see if I can get approval. You're the missing piece of the puzzle.
How many people do you expect to this event? Do you have any idea?
So we do not know exactly because we haven't been able to put it out there. We are capping it at 200. That's a very pie in the sky number, I'll be honest. But we're not going to accept more than that many people.
I would say double check, we'll make sure there's nothing else in the schedule that weekend for that particular day. I don't know if you have that advertised yet.
We don't. We obviously don't want to put that out until we can get all the necessary approvals.
But just double check that and we'll get back to you. I would get back to you next week.
Yeah.
I think we have done that in the past for other organizations. And as long as it's controlled, you're gonna be out of there by 10.
Yeah. And
I don't
majority
see
of them
why
are.
we would not,
Yeah.
as long as there's no conflict in scheduling.
Yeah, and I think it's very minimum at the 200. I think we had a lot more before on some of those runs that we had, but they are out of there by 12 o'clock. Like they start at the break of dawn, setting up.
7
then they're-
a.m. they're going to be off. to the
Yeah, they're
races.
usually done in an hour or two sometimes,
Yeah.
so you get out of there.
Yeah.
We'll look into it.
And not for nothing, I mean, I do have a lot of experience running events in the area, so, you know, it is our interest to make sure that it's well run, that there's minimal impact on all the parties, including us, and, yeah.
The date's on a formal request for you. Would you get a request and make it official?
I'll talk to
We're going to have the
Okay.
email with all the details. I don't know if you can wait till after the meeting or maybe somebody else in the office can help you.
That's fine.
Okay?
Can you hold off until then?
I'm gonna jet, I do have meetings set up, but I'm
Do
happy
you want to
to,
give the front desk lady your email?
okay.
Whenever?
I definitely will do that. And what is your name?
Jen.
Jen, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your consideration.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Anyone else? Okay. My understanding, we have a presentation here. Penn Forest Supervisor, Penn Forest Township Supervisor Patrick Collin.
All right. I'm gonna be joined by Talon and Christian also. There's a lot. Yeah, all right.
You can say whatever you
I'll stand up here. So, thank you for having me. I'm Patrick Collin. I'm a supervisor for Penn Forest Township. I'm joined by Talon and Christian. This is a small room, I guess we don't have to stand. We're here to present to you about a recreational trail for Penn Forest Township. I'll just share with you some information about Penn Forest. We're the largest municipality in Carbon County. We're also the fastest growing municipality in Carbon County. And we currently have 0 feet of sidewalk within our municipality. There's a lot of influx of family with the turnpike opening, people can commute. There's a lot of, teleworking, a lot of families that moved here with kids, and we currently have no infrastructure for them to get from point A to point B other than driving in a car on their vehicle and sometimes fighting with tourist traffic also. So can you go to the next slide, please? Our mission is to build a crushed gravel multi-use trail connecting the highest use locations in Penn Forest Township. Now, for multi-use, what we mean is something similar to the DNL, or if you're familiar with the Schuylkill Heritage Trail, about 10 feet wide, crushed stone, flat. Doesn't have to be macadam, not going to be big rocks, something nice that we know that works. It'll do bikes, bicycles, e-bikes, and walking mainly. Not any golf carts, side-by-sides, anything like that. Also, cross-country skiers could use it also in the winter. We would plan on it being not maintained, very similar to the DNL trail and other trails that have been popping up through the Macungie, Bucks County area. Now, for the rest of this, I'm going to turn it off to my associate Talon, and you can take it from there.
Yeah, well, okay. Okay, sure. Thank you guys for having us. Appreciate it. Pat did a good introduction there. Basically, it's a trail. We're all familiar with them. We have them in our backyard. We have them being built at both Schuylkill Valley Heritage Trail. They look like this, no matter where you go in the world. I bicycled and I hiked and I've done all over the world, and they all look like this. The main thing being that there are families. There are always either moms pushing strollers, there are families on bike rides, there are people walking, there are young and old and middle-aged people on these trails. And this is something, I grew up in Bear Creek Lakes. I grew up here, and one of the things that's always kind of bugged me about living up there is that we had no way of going from Bear Creek Lakes to Penn Forest to the park without walking or biking, on 903. If you drive up there now, you can see there's often teenagers or people without cars just like walking down 903. And I don't like seeing that. I cringe, and it's dangerous. So we want to, basically the idea behind this is to connect all of the places that people want to go around here via a trail, so you don't have to drive. So you can walk, you can run, you can bicycle. Hunters that have e-bikes, want to get to the hunting grounds up by Penn Forest Park, they can do that. So as you can see here, these are all the places we want to connect. This is a very beginning of this plan. So this is where we're at currently. We're always open to additions or suggestions, or if there's more places people want to connect. Yeah, sure.
So just to jump in here, you'll see with the connections, what we did, we really utilized the Pennsylvania's Active Transportation Plan that was adopted in 2020. It's a really cool document if you ever get the chance to get into it. One of our solicitors for changing our zoning ordinance, a more green open space type ordinance, she opened my eyes to it. And it talks about, what you want to connecting communities, connecting places where they have doctor's appointments, connecting recreational areas, connecting entertainment venues, and connecting grocery stores and schools, really allowing people to truly live and move without requiring a car and putting more traffic on the street. So as you'll see here, the hub of what we have is at the park. We want to extend it through the water authority to basically Penn's Peak. And then from Penn's Peak, I've been a little talk with some people from Jim Thorpe, possibly wrapping it down to Jim Thorpe, either at the gun club or at Germantown. And then, connecting the DNL all the way out through Penn Forest, through all the hotspots to Kidder Township, where they recently made the Kidder Municipal Trail. That's been a great success. And when I've been doing my homework through DCNR, they really talked highly about the Kidder Trail and connecting trails and the potential for something like this. I'll hand it back to you. We can go over the phases.
Yeah, let's go over the, okay, so, do you mind going to the next slide? Thank you. So originally, we were trying to figure it out, in phases and how to, which do we do first and, trying to make it, it's a huge project, about 18 miles of trail overall. So we broke it into sections instead, because we think, by getting grants, we can go for the project as a whole instead of doing it in pieces. So this is section 1. This is Penn Forest Park to 903 Commercial Corridor South. This basically, if you see at the bottom of this map here, Penn Forest Park is labeled, and this would go up along 903 to the entrance of Penn Forest Streams. Now, one of the main things we've tried to do here is basically use land that is already set aside or being used by utilities. So running on pipeline or running underneath power lines. This is a common tactic used by trail makers because it's land that's already, you're not using it, no one can really use it. It's kind of already used land that nobody gets anything out of. So to run a trail through these places that no one can build or do anything, it helps. It's something that you can take land and it gives back to the community around it. So this line specifically, there's actually a power line that runs along 903, and this would be underneath the power line. One of the important things to keep in mind with this is that in doing a project like this, nothing can be done without the support of the private landowners. That's our biggest question, right? Like we don't want to do eminent domain. We don't want to run trail through somebody's backyard that doesn't want it there. The goal here is to basically have conversations with people and talk about the benefits of having these trails and trying to convince people that this is good. This increases property value. This is good for the people who live on it and around. So this is the first section. Want to head to section 2. This is a little bit bigger. This is the park to Weiser State Forest. The way we have this one laid out is you'll see the 903 is in red there. And then we have our proposed route, which is the green. The yellow is kind of an alternate route to kind of weigh and talk about which way is better. But we personally think the green would be the easiest, lowest resistance route to take. Most of that green line is running through Weiser State Forest, where there's already a trail that people can use. So a lot of this is already done. It would just be connecting the end of it to the park and connecting the other end to Kalamazoo trails. Section 3, Penn's Peak to Jim Thorpe. This one's, we basically laid out a line around the property lines that we thought would work. This, like Pat said, is open to there being a little bit of a change. This could be run possibly through Germantown or the Rod and Gun Club. We have to go talk to the property owners that live at the end of Germantown Road. We know there's a guy that lives up there that lets people bike through his yard, so we thought we might approach him. There's a couple different options here, but again, we're open to figuring out what's best for the people that live there. Section 4, Penn Forest Park to Penn's Peak. This one is pretty straightforward. There's a lot of large tracts of land here. The trail would run along 903, cut back through, there's a 750 acre parcel by Penn's Peak. And sorry about that. by Penn's Peak, and then it would run out, there's a road that actually, if you notice, Penn's Peak is down at the bottom there, at the bottom center. There's a road that goes out and that would connect to the Jim Thorpe part of the trail. We basically, in making these, we've overlaid them on parcel maps and to try to figure out like how we can run the trail up along edges of parcels. Again, this has to be done with property owner support, and that's done via easements. So it's legal agreements between the property owner and the municipality, whether it's Jim Thorpe or Talmadge, or sorry, Penn Forest. So that's section 5, and then okay, section 5 would be through Talmadge Trail. So this actually, Pat had been in contact with the pipeline, which is where most of this runs through. It's another good example of how you can take a utility line and convert it to something, to basically an amenity for the people who live there. That continues up towards Kidder. And then section 6, sorry. This one is obviously not, mostly not in Penn Forest or Jim Thorpe, but this is what we like to do, is connect it up to the school and then kind of continue that and connect it to the Kidder Township trail that exists by Lake Harmony. Like I said before, this is done via land easements, so it's getting to work and talking to all of the people along this trail and making sure everybody's on board with it and having open conversations with them about what we want to do. Grants, there's a huge amount of money in the bipartisan infrastructure package. There was $1.5 billion set aside for projects specifically like this to increase people's ability to bike and be able to, like Pat said, to get around without using a car. And then the third section is volunteers. How do you keep the trail clean? How do you keep trees off of it from falling and all of that? The great thing about these trails is that along with them, people rally around them. I grew up in Bear Creek Lakes, and you can see people rallying around the lake, and people love the lake. In Jim Thorpe, they love the bridge and the river and all, you know, the amenities that we have in Jim Thorpe. And these trails do the same thing. They attract a population of people that are really into them and want to make sure that they're well kept, that there's not trash on them, that you know, they'll go out with chainsaws. I will go out with chainsaws. You know, anybody will do that, and that's a cool part of this, is that it creates a community around the trail. Can you go to the next one? Thanks. Okay, and this is just a few examples. I'm sure you're all pretty familiar with these. They get brought up a lot. You have the DNL. It's a huge one. Ironton, Norbath, the Schuylkill Valley Heritage Trail, the DNH. I think the Schuylkill Valley Heritage Trail is expanding, and I think that's going to be an additional several miles attached to that. So this kind of just gives you an idea of how long this trail would be compared to the others in the area.
Can I actually hop into that?
Absolutely.
So I just got off the phone with the regional rep from DCNR, and she told me about Chestnut Ridge. It's a old railway near Effort going towards the Palmerton area, it might be Northampton towards Palmerton. And they just finished the engineering for a trail feasibility study, and that is 11 or 9 miles, and that would be another example. And they're probably 3 years ahead of where we're at as far as having something on a plan and getting, you know, people moving on it and something that's beneficial for the society. But we've been doing a lot of homework, and I would say really we caught up to within a year of where they're at, and we could have something very cool very, very soon. You know, the Penn Forest Trail would be about this, you know, definitely smaller than the DNL, but like an average size, about 19 miles, including from Jim Thorpe to Kidder, plus the little extensions. Can you go to the next slide, please? So, and we have to ask ourselves, why would we do this? You know, there's a lot of, like I said before, that active transportation plan that Pennsylvania adopted in 2020 is amazing. It talks about the benefits of reducing traffic, not only the less cars on the road, the safer we all are, because there's a less chance of someone running into you, someone swerving from a deer. There's less wear and tear on our roads. There's less gas used. There's less pollution in our direct area. And the more people can get out and move on their own, the less, it's gonna reduce tourism traffic. It's going to allow us a way to escape tourism traffic also. It's going to allow kids healthy ways to get to school, and it's gonna really allow the school district as a whole to have a connection, because there's no way, there's like, you have Jim Thorpe, and then you have the Hill, and then you have the different communities out there, but there's nothing to really bring them together, and you have that separation almost. Walkability helps health, gives people the ability to get places. There's a lot of people that have medical conditions. If somebody has a seizure, they can't drive for 6 months to 2 years, even if they're okay after that. So allowing our citizens the ability to get places without a car, it's really, we owe it to them. This also always helps property values, as we've seen with Jim Thorpe, and now other towns in this area are looking to expand upon what Jim Thorpe did with bicycling, tourism. It's a cool thing. Like we just said, it's gonna help all the businesses. It's going to help the community take a sense of pride. Jim Thorpe is cool. I always relate it to Jim Thorpe because I grew up between the two. It has that sense. If you can walk somewhere, you bike, it's cool. But out the mountain, you can tell I'm from here, out in Penn Forest, it's fractured. There's, kids know each other in the communities, but there's so much more culture and cohesion that we could have. This is also one of the reasons we're kicking this into fast gear over the past month or two, is because of the opening of the Open Space Advisory Board, that we know that Carbon County invests in green space and understands the importance of it as us as a culture, what gives us air, water, food, it makes us, and it's important. And I really respect you guys for, taking that step towards that. And this is right in line with, all that stuff, and we hope to work closely with them in the future. Can you go to the next slide, please? So right now, there's a Carbon County comprehensive plan. The last one I found was the most accurate last one I found was the Middle Carbon County Comprehensive Plan. That was in 2012. That was a long time ago, but everything it talked about was congruent with what we're saying today about reducing traffic, offering more ways for people to go without car, yada, yada. And, it just really emphasizes our investment in nature and our beauty around us, and how it really, it helps us as a culture. It makes this a wonderful place to live. Can you go to the next slide, please? So where do we go from here? Right now, we are in the formation of making an amateur active transportation plan. Part of that is what we do, going through the data, the population, how much sidewalk we have, a lot of the stuff that you saw on these slides. The other part is support from the community and, different leaders within the community. We have our township support, we have support from both of the health networks, school district, chamber of commerce, booster club, and, we're just going around expressing the idea to people, and if they want to support it, the more the better. We're asking for a letter, an official letter of support from the commissioners today. As we apply for grants, which are coming up in the next month or so, the more letters of support, the greater the chance that you'll be selected for the money. So it would help us on our way. I think this would really help to connect Carbon County and sort of go with the green space and the culture that we have here. And it would give access and connect, about 15,000 people in Carbon County between Kidder and Penn Forest Township with, down here, which is the hub and the center of the county. So I think it would be a really cool thing. But that is about all we have for you today. So thank you for your time. And do you guys have anything?
I just want to tack on one thing, because I literally just received an email that they just offered us a congressional letter of support.
Oh, excellent.
Offered, we didn't even solicit, but Susan's ready to write us a letter of support as well.
Very cool. Thank you. All right. So that is it. Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll make a motion, we do a letter of support for their project.
Thank you.
Okay. And I just want to give you a little bit of advice.
Yes.
East Penn
Oh, no.
is working on that also. They're working on it, going from the DNL trail to 309. And I think they're very close to it, that they only need one more property.
Yeah.
So it might be a good idea to talk to them, what the procedures they went through, because you have to have access. I mean, you're going on PPL property or either, you know, pipeline or whatever, you have to get their okay. And to, you know, for the liability, so you ought to check into that, because when you fill out for a grant, you have to have all that stuff in place. You know, if you fill out for a grant, you're gonna be denied if you don't have it. So try to start off on the right foot, but I would say try to contact East Penn, East Penn
Yes.
Township. And they're, like I said, they've been working on that for several years already. And I think they only have one more property acquired. And I think that person is in place that they're trying to get that. So they would probably be very helpful for you.
Yeah, very good point.
Awesome.
I have a pretty close relationship with Dennis through the Council of Government, so I can
Yeah.
get that
Well,
started.
Weatherly was actually just in the paper.
Yeah, they
just been
did,
up
yeah,
there.
they
They're in
did
the
that.
process
Yeah.
of
They're in
getting
the
more stuff.
process, they acquired the
Yeah.
railroad bed going from Weatherly Borough to the, E&L Trail in the gorge.
Very cool.
A lot of trails going in.
With Wayne's motion, I will send that.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
As far as the comprehensive plan that you had mentioned, they are in the process of updating that now. You talked about, you mentioned the central one. I know Lower Cardin gets together with their municipalities to work on their comprehensive plan. Likewise, and then, we have a firm that puts everything together, but it's gonna take a year or two.
Yeah.
Nothing government is very fast, that's for sure. And I know you've got a long road ahead of you.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
I think the bridge took, it was an official 20 years.
Yeah.
To get it, so we're in it for the long haul.
Okay, well, thank you for your time,
Thank you
dedication,
very much.
appreciate it, good luck. With that, we will move on. There's a proclamation here for 4-H week, which takes place from March 17th to the 23rd. It's my understanding that in the past, we always had 4-H members here to receive the proclamation. They're not here today.
Still pass it or wait till they're.
Yeah, we'll just pass it, and there's something we can present it to them.
They enjoy, probably enjoy having them there.
So
We'll
then,
coordinate that for a future date, unless we still should pass it.
I think we should pass it
Yeah,
and
I
have it
don't
here, and then if somebody comes, we can present it.
Present it officially. Okay. Motion to adopt the proclamation for 4-H week.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Reported executive sessions held?
There was one on Thursday, February 15th, 2024 at 1:30 PM, and it was to discuss personnel.
Budget transfers as listed on transmittal.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
There are two supplemental appropriations.
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Approval of check numbers 241783 through 241870 for expenditures through the general fund clearing account for a total of $864,176.04.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Treasurer's report?
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Personnel report for the county departments?
Motion approved.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Acknowledgements for the courts and row offices.
Motion acknowledged.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Correspondence as listed. Copies will be made available to the press upon request. Advertising request for meeting changes for the Carbon County Planning Commission. For approval, authorize the advertisement of a public notice changing the location of the Carbon County Planning Commission's meetings for the months of March and April of 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Because of the elections office being tied up and having anyone else in there at that time, messing with the equipment or anything. Needs to be more secure.
Correctional Facility Johnson Controls Camera Maintenance. For approval and execution, annual maintenance agreement with Johnson Controls Fire Protection LP of Allentown, Pennsylvania, for CCTV security camera system located at the correctional facility for the term February 1, 2024 through January 31, 2025. The total annual cost is $7,952 under PA State Contract number 4400023962, and this represents an increase of $312.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Court Interpreter Services Grant reimbursement application for approval and execution. Court Interpreter Services Grant application for language access reimbursable costs incurred during fiscal year 2023-24, totaling $13,874.02.
Motion approved and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
For elections, Phoenix Graphics Incorporated, printing of should read 2024 election forms and ballots. For approval and execution, quote received from Phoenix Graphics Incorporated of Rochester, New York, for the printing of election day ballots, provisionals, sample ballots, and mailing services of absentee mail-in ballots for the 2024 presidential primary and presidential election at a total estimated cost of $44,237, no increase from last year. CoStar's contract number 009E23093.
Motion approved and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
Planning and Development Purchase Agreement, Premier Environment. For approval and execution, agreement with Premier Environments of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, to purchase 1x2 starter legal size filing units at a cost of $4,324.18, and 4x2 adder legal size units at a cost of $2,897.94 each, for a cost of $11,591.76. Total cost of $19,277.94 includes installation and delivery. GSA contract number GS 25F0084M.
Motion approved and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes.
What's his report?
Under elections, seeking a motion for approval and execution of agreements between the county and Suzette Kurtz of Lehighton, Pennsylvania, and Raymond Donnelly of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, to serve as roving troubleshooters for the April 23rd, 2024 primary and the November 5th, 2024 general election, and compensation will be $200 per diem plus mileage at the rate of 60 cents per mile.
Motion approved and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes. And for the Emergency Operations and Training Center, seeking a motion for approval and execution of a proposal from Control Security of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, for installation of a fire alarm system at the training center to include 6 heat detectors, 11 pole stations, 7 siren strobes, 4 strobe only, 1 fire alarm control panel, 1 fire alarm keypad, and miscellaneous wiring, conduit, hardware, connectors, and programming, for a total cost of $8,018.65, and this is an increase of $1,546.65 from the agreement that was previously approved in September 2022.
Motion approved and execute.
Second.
Mr. Arner?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes. And lastly, for Mock Chunk Lake Park, seeking a motion for approval of a concession lease between the county and Pamela L. Snare of Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, for operation of the food and refreshment concession at Mock Chunk Lake Park Beach. The term of the agreement will be January 1st, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, with automatic renewal options for 2 successive annual terms, with a final termination of December 31, 2026. And the rent for the concession is $4,200 per year.
Motion approved. Second?
Mr. Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes.
Mr. Sefranco?
Yes. Nothing further from the solicitor's report?
Is there any further business? Commissioners reports, Mr. Honor?
The only thing I have is, I know a couple of weeks ago, we got a donation for, $10,000, for that, shelter room that they wanted to do the meet and greet room. And we got an additional $5,000, from Janet Bernhardt, of Bear Creek Lakes and Jim Thorpe. And, that is to, if we need any, additional work done to that building or whatever we have to do in the rest of it. And, she just has it in the letter here that they greatly appreciate that the county does what they do for the dogs. And that is it.
Mr. Notstein?
Yes, the Emergency Operations and Training Center Committee is working on another elected officials day for June the 1st, Saturday, June 1st, from 9 to 12. I'm currently updating the list of supervisors and council members, mayors, and other public elected officials right now. And far so good. I'm just ready to type your updates in there, so we're good there. But there are several municipalities that have not replied to the county. We're talking the planning and development. We have to update the communication center for emergency contacts, etc., as well as the election office. What I'm looking at doing really is getting the three agencies together and coming up with one form for everybody instead of getting from three different entities in the county to make it a lot easier for us. I don't have a lot of the email addresses, and with the cost of postage and everything, appreciate any municipalities that have not done so. Please include your direct email address to our elected officials. Problem we have at some municipalities, especially in the smaller ones, that the word always doesn't get out to the elected officials. It's lost in the office. They have part-time employees in some offices, and even in the bigger offices, things get lost once in a while, and the information is not getting out to the elected officials. So, if possible, send your email address so we can develop that list to try to save cost. Going back to the training center elected day, we had one in September. We had 16 people attend. It was well received by the public or the officials that attended. They were impressed by what we have, what we do, and the training that we have. We can take up to maybe 30 people. It'll be first come, first served. There will be live scenarios. This time we have a burn class going on, so we will actually have a live burn class for them to observe with actual fires in the burn tower. We didn't have that in fall. We break it down in different groups depending how many people we get, and you'll be able to handle a hose line, pull hose, etc. So I think it's a very good educational day for elected officials. A lot of times it's hard to get out. A lot of the people have not been there yet, and they have no idea what we have. We will have a live active shooter scenario. Last time in fall, we had the sheriff's department, police departments participate in that, pulling over a suspect, and we watched that. They have a layout of different scenarios that they can do active shooter training with victims. Fire, police, and EMS all participate in all the different scenarios. They extract the victims and take the people under custody if they're an active shooter. So it's an educational program to show you what we do in the county. And in today's world, it's no one police department or entity can handle the situations we're running into, whether it be in the schools, in your developments or boroughs, townships. And we had an incident yesterday again here in Carbon County with a person with a weapon, and had several agencies, including state police, helicopters, etc., searching for this person, and they did get him eventually. But it's extremely important that our elected officials know what our police, fire, and EMS services are doing. So I'll be getting that letter out shortly. I do have a copy available today for the news media if they wanted it after the meeting. So that's all I have.
Mr. Shalfranco?
Yes, a few things. One is, I had been reading the paper, I should have reporting, but that, I had noticed that in Lehighton at the 135 and 139, there had been an article about paperwork not being in place, what had delayed it. Okay, so I did speak with our planning department and find out, because it kind of sounded like the county was behind or the borough, and actually neither are behind. All the paperwork's in place. What's currently happening is they're waiting for Northeast Industrial Services. They're still working on getting their bid, their bond in order for this project. Once that bond is in order, then that paperwork is given to the county and then it's free to go. So they're hoping to have that paperwork in place by sometime early next week, mid next week, and then that project will definitely move forward. But for the residents out there, the county and Lehighton Borough they're right on schedule where we should be. So there's no delay on our side. It's just waiting on that bond. The other thing I would have is, I'd like to thank the two commissioners on either side of me here. The courthouse project that was begun before I got here is currently on schedule, actually a little bit ahead in some areas. They are currently in budget. So we've been working very hard for that. I know there's upcoming meetings today and tomorrow to go over some bumps in the road that will be addressed, and Commissioner Arnold will be handling some of those meetings, and I thank him for that. But it should be known that right now, we seem to be doing rather well with it. It's moving the way it is. So we're doing good with that. And then finally, I'd like to thank everyone. As Commissioner Notstein had said here earlier, yesterday was a rather tense day in the borough. But all the departments from around the area, and including our own sheriff's department here, for all that they did in keeping us all safe and finding the individual involved. You can't say enough about that. So
We were on lockdown ourselves because the person was in the area a block away, really, so from by our buildings, behind our buildings, so it's extremely important that people are aware of what's going on outside.
but I do thank them for all of that, and I appreciate their service. I really do. So it keeps everyone safe. Anything further? I have nothing else. Meeting adjourned. We'll start in the back today. How's that? I think that's really-
Actually, I did have a question on the Titan building, the demolition. Is there any update with a date to start demolition?
As I had said, there's a bond, once the bond, that paperwork's signed and delivered back, then that project's ready to go. So it's just a matter on the contractor's side to get that paperwork back, and obviously they can't begin that until everything's signed, sealed, and delivered. So it's waiting on the contractor to get that paper, and they're hoping to have that within the next week. So that's the best I can give you.
That's all I have.
Amy?
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
The only thing I have is, where is the planning commission meetings going to be held during the winter months?
What was
The
that?
planning commission meetings,
Yes.
so they'll be here then?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. COG meeting in April as well will be here. In other meetings, because of they need the space really for the equipment.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Anything further? Thank you all. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you.